The Collins Jones report is for the 17th of June. And, we had the buy configuration going, but you saw shorts were riding up with it. So, not a big shock that you ended up with the pullback into the move. And they were just moving between now the 100% and the 76%, nothing dramatic. We were looking at, when was the orange going to pop back above? You can see it formed a pretty quick spider. Some of this is going to be news related to the whole Iran thing and softening of oil prices, the G7, all the politics that go with that. And, at the end of the day, you've had this whole disruption, and whatever your view on the agreement is, there's going to be one argument that Iran no longer has Air Force, Navy, blah, 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 blah. The Strait is theoretically going to be reopened under some other conditions or variations, but people have already done workarounds, so it's never going to have the same impact again, which is an interesting one as well. So, all those things being equal, the real question then comes to how our economy is faring from this, and the reality is that's still not determined at the end of the year as we work through what this means from inflationary as well as global impact. Um, and clearly, it's affected other regions more than the U.S. has certainly suffered the least amount from it, other than the inflation and then the new inflation that will be coming later on. From an NQ standpoint, we look at it here, and of course, you've had the whole SpaceX, you've got the Anthropic, all that other stuff that's about to blow up in that. But you can see there's been a significant amount of short increase within this stage that we certainly did not have in any of these prior run-ups. So that's a new dynamic. And, when people can look at the market and say, oh, that's exactly the same. No, we can see there are clear differences between the way you would relate this from even the shakeout versus what you're seeing now, much lower uh, peaks, even though you're getting relatively the same high. And those are the divergences that matter. And then we look at, we were talking about before volume and that, and as things shift, well, that becomes, problematic. Now, oil still isn't that cheap. You're still in the mid 70s. So it's still a significant premium over the mid 50 range. So will we get down there? Theoretically, I guess it'll depend on how quickly the strait opens up and how much flow actually goes through. Will the Iranians discount what they've got in order to get rid of the backlog? Uh, they certainly have full storage capacity. Will there be enough tankers to offload it all? And that becomes an interesting question given what you've seen Ukraine do as far as damaging Russia's shadow fleet stuff. So, still some unknowns, but it's going to get worked through. Um, Eurozone, when they started looking at the G7, you realized what a disaster the Eurozone was. I think it caused some people to wake up just a little bit because this isn't going to help the EU in any way, shape, or form. They're really in a bad form, and it's pretty obvious. So that it's been this high for the euro for this long has just been an indictment against Trump and their desire to be angry at him. They probably thought the U.S. was going to cut rates, and holding steady did not happen. So, it doesn't make the euro any more attractive, even with them increasing rates. They can't do that for very long because they need to borrow a ton of money because they want to go to war with Russia. Um, yeah, gold still basing along here. It's just a matter of time before that takes its next run up the mountain. Same thing with Bitcoin. But, these are separate issues of, functionality as well as interest. Right now there's still growth in the U.S. and stuff like that. What is your interest to be in Bitcoin other than just as a catalyst for parking money in between? And really no reason to park money when things have been going nothing but one way. But now we start to see that shift when we had this previous from, oh, gee, that was way back. We'd have to scroll back quite a ways for where that short was up at the peak levels. And interesting that you revisit it and regroup, and it just reinforces what I've always said, that the algorithms pick specific values that have nothing to do with relationships that you would look for as a regular chart analysis or anything like that, and that's just part of their idea behind disguising their moves. We also knew that with the positive extremes, you're going to get a refill, and that's exactly what we ended up finishing the other day, as well as the gap from it, and of course that allows for a complete reset. In which case we had all these MBI white leads, and we continued to decay until boom took over, and that pushed us right back to the 50% range. And none of this is out of the ordinary. When we look at the volume, though, on this down day, and this is where it gets interesting because we've been commenting on how uh, tiny, at least small wise, volume was when you can put it literally almost one screen there. And then you go and look at what happened the other day with the drop, and no, you can't fit it on one screen. It's almost two going across. So, and on a significantly down move. That matters. Now, post market, light volume, boom, shoot it back up. Will it be able to sustain itself? Well, that just depends on how much selling, but it does mean for short sellers who are acquiring a large position, you can keep adding into your short at a average weighted price that is still, up in that mid 7,500 range. Makes it nice. So, will they continue to upload? Well, two things happen in that case. They either develop an over leveraged amount where they're able to then just drive more selling, or they end up getting caught, and that's where you get hit with a short cover rally that creates a whole new spike that would be brand new highs. And these are the things that we look for. We usually get the telltale signals from what happens in our readings ahead of time. At this particular point, you've got a little soft section. Now, as long as MBI white stays in the lead, that puts more pressure on the situation, because right now you're getting kind of excited. But what you're watching here is, will magenta dip below yellow? And until it does, this is a little bit less dramatic from a sell standpoint. Short-term buyers fading off here now below the zero. Steel is below the orange as well. So yeah, that becomes interesting too, because if that continues to increase in spread, and then you get cyan actually moving larger than green, then you would get the breakaway move, and then you might see something more active. But at this particular point, they're still loading up, and then we're going to see who ends up with the broader edge at this particular point. I think bulls are still in the advantage at this particular stage. Those shorts are actually making a move for the first time we haven't seen in quite some time. So that's the real story behind everything. We'll watch it play out, and we're going to see it in real time. Particularly start with the 5K. So easy enough. As always, anything relevant though, I'll put it on the team chat. Have a good one. Trade well.